For this video, I'm headed down to Orlando, Florida to take you on a full guided walking tour of Disney's Animal Kingdom. Welcome back. If you had watched any of my previous walking tours, you'll notice that any of these attractions I either have a love or hate relationship. As a result of that, I either spend the entire time raving about the park, like Magic Kingdom, or I spend the entire video kind of bashing it, like Adventure Island. Unfortunately for Animal Kingdom, I do kind of think that this is not only the worst Disney park in Florida, but now that the Studios park in France is getting upgrades, this is probably the worst Disney park overall in the world. Now keep in mind, it's just my opinion, and obviously that's subjective. And I'm sure there are some fans of Animal Kingdom out there that'll probably get angry at me for saying that. But I have pretty much been to every Disney park throughout the world. And this is the least impressive one, at least in my experience. I did attempt to present Animal Kingdom in the best possible light. That's why I visited the park during the Christmas season with all the Christmas decorations. I think that the park definitely looks best during this time of year. Now, this first section of the park that I'm walking through right now is known as the Oasis. It's just a bunch of animal enclosures. Now, if you look at the map, even Disney's too lazy to tell you what animals are here, and I wasn't paying close enough attention to which animals are actually in these enclosures. It was mostly just birds from what I saw, but who knows? Disney won't even tell me, so there's a bunch of furry things running around inside. And the other thing that's in Oasis is the Rainforest Cafe, as well as a gift shop. And that's pretty much everything for this land. So already kind of a disappointing opening to the park. Since this is a giant dead space in the park, I guess this is a good opportunity to tell you why I don't like the park. One of the reasons is these giant dead spaces in the park where there's, just a couple animal enclosures and you just have to walk and walk and walk and walk until you get to something that's interesting. The idiosyncrasies of this park are just so off the wall for me. It is Disney's largest park by land size. It's over 500 acres, yet if you look at the attractions, there's almost no rides. And to build a Disney theme park with very few rides, it kind of defeats the purpose in my opinion. Don't get me wrong, this park does have beautiful landscaping and it does have that really immersive experience, but not in a pleasant way. These tree canopies look beautiful, but in the summertime they trap the humidity towards the walkways. So the ambient temperature at Animal Kingdom is something like 5 or 6 degrees above the other 3 Disney parks in Florida. So when it gets hot, it's a lot hotter here than the other 3 parks. So the section of the park that I'm walking through right now is known as Discovery Island. That's the section of the park that you'll find a lot of gift shops like the Island Mercantile. And there's a couple restaurants here. The main attraction here in Discovery Island is the Tree of Life. That's that giant fake tree that's in front of me right now. Inside that giant tree is a interactive movie called It's Tough to Be a Bug. Now that particular movie is kind of clever, although I think it is showing its age now because nobody even knows that movie anymore. And that's just another great example of Disney's mismanagement of the parks. Almost every attraction now, they use like some sort of intellectual property from one of their movies, but a lot of their movies lately have been flops. So lately they're taking movies that audiences didn't really care for to begin with and turning them into rides, and it's so ridiculous. The best Disney rides are the ones that aren't based on movies, whether you're talking about Horizons or World of Motion or the dark ride Pirates of the Caribbean wasn't based on a movie. They made movies based on the ride after the fact, and when Disney actually dreams up ideas clean sheet, that's when their parks are at their finest. So as you can see, I made a hard left, and I'm now walking towards Pandora. Pandora was one of the newest additions to the park, but that's not saying a lot because Pandora opened almost a decade ago, way back in 2017, and Disney just doesn't invest in this park because the attendance is bad. But the attendance is bad because they don't invest in this park, so it's a vicious cycle. Now, Animal Kingdom is the first Disney park that I didn't come during opening week, at least for the parks that I was alive for. I wasn't around for the opening of Magic Kingdom in 1971, but I did come the opening week of Epcot in 1982, as well as the opening week of Disney-MGM Studios in 1989. But I skipped this one. In that time frame, I actually went and opened Islands of Adventure instead. I'll be honest with you, I can't imagine what this park would have been like for opening year, because I'm bored with it now, and that's after the additions of Pandora as well as Expedition Everest. I can't imagine this park without those two attractions. I mean, it's just, yeah, I mean, I don't know how this park is still open. And honestly, I think this particular park would have probably gone out of business if the Disney name wasn't attached to it by now. This park probably loses money for Disney. I've come here, in the off season, and sometimes I'll show up, an hour or two after opening, and there's only like 6 or 7 cars in the parking lot. I'll be the only person riding on the parking lot tram, and it's just crazy to me that this is such a mismanaged park, and I guess ill-conceived in a way, just because it's so overly large, and you're just walking and walking and walking before you get to an actual e-ticket ride. And the lack of e-ticket rides are really what destroyed this park for me. I mean, it's just, I'll ride Expedition Everest, and I'll ride Flight of Passage, and maybe Dinosaur, and I'm just kind of done for the day. I'll tell you one thing, if you're trying to get your cardio in, then this is the place to come to, because look at the timer. I'm already 6 minutes of walking, and I have yet to get to a dark ride, which is pretty much ridiculous in a Disney park, but, that's the way they laid this place out. Thankfully, I am in Pandora, which is the home of 2 pretty decent dark rides. On my right-hand side, I just passed the Satu'li Canteen, which is probably one of the most unique restaurants here in Animal Kingdom. All their meals are obviously themed to the movie Avatar, and they do have some pretty tasty stuff, like the shrimp bowl or the grilled beef and chicken. I skip any of the wild stuff. Like I just don't. I'm not gonna eat blue noodles. That's just I think it's unnatural, so I'm not gonna go there. So right now I'm at the entrance to the Avatar Flight of Passage ride. This is a great little simulator ride. The ride technology is similar to the Soarin' ride over at Epcot, so I am a fan of this one. It's definitely a very immersive ride, and some people will get motion sickness on it, so just be advised if you have trouble with, projection rides, or you have issues with your neck and back, you might not want to ride this one because it does bounce around quite a bit. The other dark ride that they have here in Pandora is the Navi River Journey, and I do have kind of a pet peeve with this particular ride. It has no storyline, it's just scenery, and it's such a weird thing to take an intellectual property based on a movie and then do a ride that actually has a 0 story whatsoever. I don't know why you would do that. You basically just get in a boat and you ride around for 5 minutes, and it's in complete silence. I mean, there's not even narration, and it doesn't make any sense. The ride never made sense, and it's just a great example of Animal Kingdom. So many of the attractions here are just random head scratchers, and the River Journey is just like that. You have this really amazing animatronic at the end of the ride, and the rest is just kind of static. I mean, they don't even have really any moving animatronics besides the one at the end. So the Shaman, I guess it is. But it's probably the most gimmicky dark ride that Disney's ever built. I mean, James Cameron apparently discovered bioluminescent paint and decided to just do a whole ride randomly about bioluminescent paint. So if you want to see bioluminescent paint and dark lights for 5 minutes, that's basically all it is. In hindsight, I think Disney really missed an opportunity to be sponsored by Sherman Williams or DuPont paints, because maybe even Rust-Oleum, because the whole ride is basically showing off different paint underneath black lights and little else. So now that I'm done with Pandora, I'm heading back towards Discovery Island, and this is Animal Kingdom. I think the theme for this particular park was large concrete pathways through trees, because that's 95% of this park. So I'll only have to walk another 45 miles or so to get to the next dark ride here at Animal Kingdom. And for my Canadian viewers, that's about 1,000 kilometers. And, I know you guys love kilometers up there, and, 1,000 kilometers, that's pretty close. I suppose this would be a good time to talk about food again. If you were looking for a reasonably priced restaurant, at least by Disney pricing, there's a quick service restaurant coming up on my left-hand side known as Pizzafari. And that's usually where I go when I'm hungry and want to try to carb up for the constant walking here at Animal Kingdom. I will basically grab a pizza at Pizzafari, and you can go in there and get like a personal pan pizza and a soda in there, and it'll run you about $20, which by theme park pricing standards isn't, I guess, the best deal around, but because it's pizza, it is a lot of food and it is pretty filling. So that's usually where I go when I'm here at Animal Kingdom. I do eat on occasion at the canteen in Pandora, but I'd say probably about 75% of the time I go to Pizzafari because I'm a quick service restaurant kind of guy when it comes to Disney parks. And Pizzafari is also air conditioned, and a lot of the restaurants here in Animal Kingdom are outdoor markets. Like when you get back to Africa, it's mostly all outdoor stuff. So I like to beat the heat, especially in the summertime, and Pizzafari is kind of the place to go when you just want some cool air conditioning, and the prices are reasonable. So it's a win-win for me. This is probably a good opportunity to segue into the animals of Animal Kingdom. There are quite a few really good animal closures here. The Kilimanjaro Safari ride is about a 30-minute ride around their savannah in the back of the park, and you'll be able to see all kinds of different animals like zebras and gazelles and crocodiles and hippopotamuses and giraffes and that type of stuff. So that's definitely one of the better rides here at the park. However, be aware that the animals are more active like around dawn and dusk and are kind of hiding for a lot of the day. So the quality of the experience will vary depending on the time of day, because like I said, the animals are more active at certain times of day than others. And a lot of times you'll just drive around and be looking at just hills of dirt and not much else, because if you catch the animals while they're sleeping, it's not much of an experience. I guess it's time for me to bash the park again. The best animal enclosures at this park are all hidden in the back of the park. Like if you're talking about the Kilimanjaro Safari or the Gorilla Falls, Planet Watch areas, they're all buried in the back. Now, I actually pulled out Google Earth so I could measure some of the distances, and the distance between the parking lot and the entrance to like the Maharajah Jungle Trek, I measured that at about 2.25 miles, maybe 2.5 miles. It's ironic that you have to actually walk a jungle trek just to get to the jungle trek. I don't know why they laid this park out the way they did. It's so spread out, and there's so little content in this layout. It's just not a very good theme park. I do use my smartphone to track the distances of how far I walk in a theme park, and I routinely walk about 12 to 15 miles per day, covering one of these parks. It doesn't really bother me at the other parks because there's plenty of attractions. Like Magic Kingdom, there's 3 days worth of rides to cover. You can't actually experience them all in a single day. I feel like there's plenty of stuff to do in Epcot too. Hollywood Studios, I don't think they have enough rides, but it's not that obvious. This park, it's way too obvious. It's just, I don't think they have enough e-ticket rides. I think they rely way too much on the zoo aspect, and that's why nobody comes to this park. So right now I'm at the entrance of Kilimanjaro Safaris. Now this is one of the primary attractions to this park, and I'm here in the busy season. During the Christmas season, you'll notice that the standby wait line had a 5-minute wait, and I guess that's one of the positive aspects of this park. This park is so unpopular that even the major attractions are usually walk-on. The only rides that usually ever have a wait are Avatars like Flight of Passage, and occasionally Navi River Ride, and Expedition Everest. Everything else is usually a walk-on attraction here. I guess to backtrack a little too, I should probably mention that right now I'm walking through the Africa section of the park, and I transitioned into this area when I walked over the bridge probably about 2 minutes ago. I generally skip the restaurants too at this section of the park. The problem with most of the meals that they prepare here is, they're trying to be consistent with the theme, and they prepare a lot of the meals with beans. And I know that's a very popular thing that they prepare over on that continent, but I don't want to get sick when I'm at a theme park, and I know that beans and my digestive system don't get along, and I don't want to spend like half the day in the restroom. My advice is, if you also have a problem eating beans, then you probably want to keep walking towards Asia to get a meal, because I think the foods over in Asia are a lot more palatable to most people. The foods here do seem to cause a lot of upset stomachs, at least in my experience. So I just walked back and forth to the train station at Planet Watch. That's a little train ride that'll take you to the conservation station, and it's an opportunity to see a couple animal exhibits, as well as seeing how they tend for the animals. It's basically like an animal hospital where they basically give like the animals physical checkups and stuff. Also in this section of the park is Gorilla Falls, which I think is one of the highlights of this park. If you're here for the animal enclosures, I personally think Gorilla Falls is my favorite one in the entire park. So it's definitely worth a visit if you're here. And right now I'm kind of walking in on the Harambe Market. This is that open air kind of food court that I was talking about. And this is about as close as I get to eating a meal here, because, like I said, I just the meals here are just not my cup of tea. I can't eat all the bean centric types of foods, and I just keep walking. And I mean, if you want to, I guess, try something new, it's not a bad option. But I personally wouldn't spend $120 for the day to go to the park just to get sick. When I experiment with new meals and new types of food, I generally don't do it at a theme park, because I've had a lot of experiences with family members getting sick over the years, because I practically live in these parks. So right now I'm going to be walking up to one of those status boards that'll show like the wait times for the different rides. And you're going to notice that it's a pretty slow day. Dinosaur only has a 5-minute wait. TriceraTop Spin only has a 5-minute wait. It's Tough to Be a Bug is a walk-on with 10 minutes as well. The only rides that are showing any type of wait are Avatar Flight of Passage and the Navi River ride. And both of those are only showing a 55-minute wait, which are pretty reasonable for those rides. A lot of times you'll come here and the wait time for those particular attractions will be anywhere from 90 minutes to 120 minutes. I guess this is another opportunity to bash Animal Kingdom a little more. The last time I came here, which was a couple years ago, they actually used to have 2 roller coasters. They had Expedition Everest, which is one of the coasters that I'm about to walk up to as I enter Asia. And the second roller coaster was Primeval World, located in Dinoland, USA. But another common trait of Animal Kingdom is the disappearance of rides, and they've lost quite a few of them over the years, and Primeval World was one of the ones they tore down, and now it's just an empty slab over there in Dinoland. Yeah, so I mean, this is a Disney theme park with approximately 1 roller coaster, and in my opinion, that's the most pathetic thing in the world. And if you gave me the choice between like going to Animal Kingdom or probably the closest rival park in Florida, which is Busch Gardens, I'll go to Busch Gardens 10 times over Animal Kingdom once. I guess that shouldn't come as too much of a shock. I mean, one of my nicknames is the Coaster Schmuck, and Busch Gardens is arguably the best theme park in Florida when it comes to roller coasters. I mean, they've got, I think, 10 or 12, something ridiculous. And, they've got things like Iron Gwazi and SheiKra, and even older rides like Montu and Kumba are amazing. So Busch Gardens gets most of my money, and Animal Kingdom gets very little of it. Another interesting aspect of this particular park is it does follow the typical hub and spokes design of, most theme parks. What's interesting about it is they decided to do islands and man-made canals to create the illusion. Now, within all these man-made rivers and canals, there used to be a scenic boat ride called the Discovery Riverboats. But it was just another poorly received attraction here at Animal Kingdom, and they closed it down really quick, even after they retooled it like a couple times. Like, I believe at the last iteration it was called the Radio Disney River Cruise, which, oh my god, that must have been awful. I never came to the park when it was open, so I don't know. But the descriptions of how boring it was, honestly, a boring boat tour is completely consistent with the rest of Animal Kingdom, so I don't see what the problem is. So on my left-hand side, I just recently passed the show building for the Great Bird Adventure Show. I'm, I guess, a sucker for animal shows at parks, and, if you want to see birds do cool tricks and, swoop over your head and fly really low and, all kinds of cool things, then it's one of the better attractions here at Animal Kingdom. This is probably a good time to mention that I have transitioned officially over now to the Asia section of the park, and I'm curving around to the left to walk towards the entrance of the Kali River Rapids ride. It's a standard family spinning rapids ride. It is a lot of fun, and you will get pretty wet. Because Animal Kingdom is the hottest of the Disney parks in the summertime, this is such a godsend on those days where, a lot of times with the humidity, the real fuel temperature in the park will be in excess of 100 degrees. I will point out that Disney has kind of decontented the ride. When the ride first opened, it was about poachers killing an animal, and I think they showed a dismembered elephant at the end of the ride. I can't remember exactly the ending, but I remember it being pretty intense, and because Disney kind of goes back and sanitizes their original attractions a lot of the time, that they took a lot of the unique aspects out of the ride, and now it's just like a standard spinning ride like you'd get at Busch Gardens. As you could see by the video, the standby line for Kali River Rapids was 5 minutes, another walk-on ride. And that is par for the course for this park. I guess I'm not the only one who doesn't like it. So right now I'm walking up towards the Maharajah Jungle Trek. This is the other great animal enclosure in the park. Obviously this one's focused on tigers. Now Busch Gardens and Animal Kingdom both have tiger exhibits. Which one is better probably comes down to your preferences. I think Busch Gardens lets you get closer just because of how they configured the glass walls, and you can really get up close and see the tigers really well at their enclosure. I think Animal Kingdom has the superior theming. They've got like these kind of almost rope bridges that kind of walk through the enclosures, and it just seems like they spent a little more money on constructing the actual exhibit. So I think when it comes to the cosmetic aspects, the Disney version is better. I will say this, the animal enclosures in Asia are pretty good. Like, you're going to see like gibbons and apparently red pandas and all kinds of wild stuff over here in this section of the park. So if you're here for like the zoo aspects, then Asia's probably Asia and Africa are obviously the best section of the park for those type of things. None of the, I guess you would call, the interesting animals are in the front of the park. All the really cool stuff is in the back. Here's a pretty good look at what you're getting into if you decide to ride Kali River Rapids. It's a great ride, and I think it's one of the most underrated ones here at Animal Kingdom. I wish they had more water rides. I mean, this park does seem very well suited for some sort of log flume, kind of like Splash Mountain. One of the things that drives me crazy about current Disney management is they keep retheming existing rides instead of building new ones. And I realize it's a maintenance and upkeep thing, but 2 out of the 4 Disney parks are starved of good e-ticket rides. Although Hollywood Studios has definitely improved now that Star Wars: Rise of the Resistance has opened and Slinky Dog Dash opened as well. But Hollywood Studios doesn't have enough rides either because if you go on a busy day, some of those rides are like 2.5 hour, 3 hour waits. So that tells me they still don't have enough capacity for all the guests inside the park. Now I'm talking about that because Disney has announced that they're going to be replacing the Dinosaur ride here at the park with Indiana Jones. That's just a side grade. I don't even consider that an upgrade. For those not familiar with the Disney parks, Indiana Jones is a dark ride out in California, and Dinosaur is basically the clone of the ride located here in Florida, at least in regards to the ride layout. I mean, obviously the theming is different, but It sounds like Disney's just going to straight clone the California version of the ride. So for people who've already visited the California version of the parks, it's not really going to be a draw for Animal Kingdom because we've already experienced it. So I do have my fingers crossed that it's at least a new storyline for an Indiana Jones ride, but I have pretty low expectations simply because most new Disney rides have been disappointments. One of the things I will give Animal Kingdom credit for is they do have really good sightlines. So if you really want to get an iconic still photo or selfie with you and Expedition Everest in the background, this area coming up is certainly the best spot in the park. It's just perfectly spaced away from Expedition Everest with nothing in the way to ruin the view. And it really is the perfect vantage point for whatever photo you want to take. But you can definitely tell that they planned this whole thing out. And anytime you see those scenic telescope things set up for any kind of overlook, that's definitely one of the best vantage points in the whole park. So it's only about another 35 miles before I get to the next Disney Dark ride. I'm once again walking through another one of those notorious dead spots in the park. I believe they're putting in a retail shop coming up here on the left-hand side, but it's really the only thing over here. It's just so random how you just walk and it's just endless nothing. I feel like I'm walking around a dead mall with empty storefronts. That's how Animal Kingdom comes off most of the time. This river area over to my right-hand side is a pretty good vantage point for the various parades and night shows that they do here. Actually, I should probably rephrase that. I should say it used to be a good vantage point because this used to be one of the areas where you could see the Rivers of Light night show. But once again, it's another attraction here at Animal Kingdom that they discontinued. There is a nighttime show that is called the Tree of Life Awakenings, and it takes place at the Tree of Life, towards the middle of the park. In my opinion, it's quite the downgrade compared to Rivers of Light, and it seems like they just decided to put a light show on the Tree of Life as a cost-cutting move. So on my left-hand side is the entrance to the best ride in the park, which is Expedition Everest. Now, people will talk kind of trash about Expedition Everest because when the ride first opened, the giant animatronic of the Yeti used to move around and pretend to shake the train car you were riding in. Unfortunately, because of the weight of the Yeti, it was actually causing structural damage to the ride attraction. So the Yeti no longer moves in the ride. They just have like a strobe light blinking next to the Yeti. And most Disney fans will make fun of it and call it Disco Yeti. Despite that shortcoming, it's still an amazing roller coaster, and I do come to this park almost exclusively for Expedition Everest. Now, I rarely start at Animal Kingdom on any of the days, because the thing about park hopping at Disney parks is you have to wait till 2 o'clock before you can switch to a different park, and it's kind of hard to find things to do at Animal Kingdom, at least for me, if I start at the park at open and have to wait till 2 o'clock. I usually run out of things to do here by noon, and I'm just kind of twiddling my thumbs because, you run out of rides so quick here. So for me, I'll usually start the day at Epcot or Magic Kingdom, park hop here around 2 o'clock, and then usually park hop to Hollywood Studios at night because, let's face it, Tower Terror is the most fun for a night ride. Either that or I'll go to hit Tomorrowland at night because, the Tomorrowland Transit Authority looks amazing at night. Obviously, the world-famous fireworks show at Cinderella's Castle was amazing at Magic Kingdom, too. Finishing the night at either Magic Kingdom or Hollywood Studios is just downright epic. Obviously, the section of the park right now that I'm walking around is another great photo opportunity for, selfies or family photos. This one can be a little challenging. When you're taking a picture of the Expedition Everest mountain in the background, that one's easy to catch because it doesn't move. But if you're trying to get your family photo with the train dropping down that pretty major drop, that you have to get their timing just right, or you'll miss the train, and it's not the easiest thing to pull off. If you have like somebody with an old school mirrorless camera and they've got burst shooting, then that's probably the best way to capture that moment. I don't know if any cell phones can support burst shooting, but if they do, that would definitely be the way to pull it off. I'm from the Android world. I don't think there's any Android phones that can do it. The iPhone, which is a little more photocentric, yeah, it might have a mode that can do it. Coming up on my left-hand side is a live stage show. It's called Little Nemo and the Big Blue and Beyond. It's kind of like a Broadway musical with puppet work, and let's face it, I'm clearly not the demographic that it was made for. I had an ex-girlfriend who kind of dragged me into that show, telling me how amazing it was, and it was 25 minutes of my life that I'll never get back. It's definitely not for me, and I think for most men, it's pretty cringe. They're definitely aiming for a younger demographic and probably the female persuasion. So right now I'm walking through the amphitheater section of the park. This is a pretty impressive amphitheater. I believe it has 5,000 seats, and I don't think it's been used since they discontinued Rivers of Light in the summer of 2020. So it's basically been sitting empty for the last 4 years. Nothing more than, like, I guess a park bench in the park at this point. I was actually surprised that they let you walk down here, because I thought for sure they would have blocked it off with a wall by now, but it's still open. You can still walk down there, but it's kind of a pointless section of the park. So another weird aspect of this Finding Nemo show that I just noticed on the website is, according to the Walt Disney website, this is located in Dinoland, USA, and the theming here doesn't look anything like Dinoland. You know, you're about to see Dinoland in another couple minutes. I'm going to walk through it. And for those people who have never been to this park, Dinoland USA is set up to look like a roadside carnival. It looks nothing like this portion of the park. It's just another weird oversight and mismatched theming that this park, I guess, suffers from. And I don't think this was originally part of Dinoland, and they just kind of lumped it in later on. I have a feeling this used to be Asia, and they just kind of shifted things, I guess, to make it easier to find. I don't know what the story is and why they consider this Dinoland. So you can see how the theming is already starting to shift and change as the walkway has suddenly become like tar asphalt. And this is like the real section of Dinoland. This is what Dinoland was themed to. It's an intentionally schlocky section of the park, and it really does scream cheap to me. I think that when they were building this park, they realized it just lacked attractions, and they're, even with Dinoland, it still doesn't have enough rides, and they just kind of slapped this together at the last minute. Disney did this land on the cheap, and this is where the second roller coaster used to be located, but now it's just a giant piece of asphalt and nothing else. And you know, there's some walls up where the coaster used to be, and this section of the park has always been a mess. It was poorly received when it opened, and it's just gotten worse with time. So yeah, this park is just such a mess. This happens to be the section of the park that they're planning to demolish and completely redo. The new land of the park is going to be themed after the film Coco. All I can say is anything's got to be an improvement over this. This is so beneath Disney. This would be sad at a Six Flags park. The fact that Disney kind of threw this together at the last minute to try to give Animal Kingdom some more attractions, just, you know, it flopped miserably, and it's about to go away, and I don't think anyone will miss it. Now, on my right-hand side is the only surviving ride here at Dinoland, which is TriceraTop Spin. What a great ride. I mean, we only have 5 of these at the Disney parks. So if you haven't gotten enough on the Astro Orbiter or the 2 Dumbo rides or Aladdin's Magic Carpet, here's your chance to get the exact same ride experience as the other 4 rides. This time riding in dinosaurs instead of flying elephants, magic carpets, or jets. Needless to say, when they redevelop this land, I hope they kill this ride with fire. These are pathetic, schlocky rides, and just come on, man. Iger, can you not be a cheap son of a bitch? So coming up on my right-hand side is the Boneyard, which is a playground designed to look like a dinosaur excavation. And this is a fun little attraction. Obviously, I'm too big to go inside that one, but they've got a lot of different slides and caves and rope bridges, and it kind of reminds me of like a small-scale version of Tom Sawyer Island. I mean, Tom Sawyer Island was like the absolute best thing to do when I was a kid. I loved the different playground elements, and I always loved walking across that barrel bridge that is adjacent to Haunted Mansion, as well as exploring all the little caves underneath the island. I mean, it just was a really fun experience, and definitely one of my favorite memories of childhood. One of the things I've noticed on my recent visits to the Disney parks is they've really gotten carried away with the penny pinching. When I was walking around Hollywood Studios the other day, I noticed they had drained all the decorative fountains in front of Tower of Terror, and I don't think it's a maintenance thing. I think they generally don't want to run those pumps and fountains anymore, because the last 2 times I've gone, and whether it was the summer or the winter time, they just aren't running water in a lot of the fountains. And I noticed they did the same thing here at Animal Kingdom at the Dinosaur ride as well. The fountain is drained and it's been filled with leaves, and so it looks like it's been like that for a while. You can also tell as I'm walking up to Dinosaur, it's a super popular ride with a long line. I mean, it hasn't gotten stale at all. It's based on a movie that everybody's seen and watches and rewatches over and over again, and it's one of those timeless dark rides that always has like a 2-hour wait. Oh wait, maybe the standby is only 5 minutes, which means it's a complete walk-on. My bad. I think I've ridden Dinosaur maybe twice in my entire life, and yeah. I'll never understand the whole ride system to Dinosaur, and it's just one of the reasons why I hate this park. Even the e-ticket rides, most of them suck. I mean, I love Expedition Everest, I love Avatar, and probably Cali River Rapids, and that's about it. For Dinosaur, you're in these like 4x4 Jeeps, and the idea is kind of cool of off-roading and everything, but for Dinosaur, you're basically riding down the track like it's a broken down old wooden roller coaster. So you're banging up and down like relentlessly on the track, and it's a deliberate choice, and it's just unpleasant. It's like riding a roller coaster without the G-forces, so it's just stupid. And it's so dark in there, you can barely see most of the good Dinosaur animatronics, and it's just another great example of why Animal Kingdom is terrible. I mean, even their big budget rides stink. I can't wait until this dinosaur is actually extinct, and I'm hoping Indiana Jones is just better executed. So I've turned around to head back towards the front of the park. Coming up on my left-hand side is the Restaurantosaurus. That's another fast casual restaurant. It's not a bad place to go eat if you're looking for something inexpensive. It serves the exact type of food that you would normally associate with a theme park. You're looking at burgers and hot dogs, and I think they got mac and cheese too for the kids menu. So just basic stuff. The prices are roughly the same as the pizza place, and most of the time I'm in the mood for pizza, and that's the place I almost always go to. But every now and then I'm in the mood for a hamburger, and Walt Disney World makes a pretty decent one. So as you can tell, I'm leaving Dinoland now, and I'm heading back towards Discovery Island. And you can obviously tell how the theme has changed dramatically. I've gone from the concrete walkways with the trees to the section of the park with the concrete walkways with the trees. In all seriousness now, though, I'm in another one of those notorious dead spots in the park where you just have to walk and walk, and there's really nothing here besides some trash cans. As this walking tour continues, it's becoming harder and harder to hide my sheer frustration with this park. If you watched any of my previous walking tours where I'm walking around like Magic Kingdom or one of the state parks or something, there are plenty of things to talk about. But trying to do a walking tour of a theme park that lacks rides, it's crazy. The layout of this park reminds me a lot of a theme park I visited in Canada called Marineland. And Marineland was the same weird, kind of bizarre layout. You would just walk to the roller coaster, and it would be way the hell out in the middle of nowhere. And then you'd walk out to like the drop ride, and it would be way out in the middle of nowhere. And then the next ride would be like a little flat ride, and that would be way, completely on the other side of the park from the other two like major rides. And that park is sitting on, I think, a similar crazy footprint. I think that's like 800 acres or something. And Marineland's layout is even more awkward than Animal Kingdom's. So it's just, I've never seen a corporate theme park ever, whether you're talking about Six Flags or Universal Studios or Cedar Fair. that is this such a cynical cash grab. It's like in the 1990s, Walt Disney World ran out of ideas, and they're like, let's just make a zoo with a couple bad dark rides. Because most of the dark rides here were never good. I mean, Dinosaur was always pretty terrible. Navi River Journey is a ride with no purpose. TriceraTop Spin is like the most generic flat ride you could possibly buy, and Disney World already had 4 of them before they put it in here. And then you've got Primeval Whirl, which was a Wild Mouse roller coaster that was barely good enough for a Six Flags park. You know, when I start doing these voiceovers after I'm looking at the video footage, I never know which direction I'm going to go. I'm just always winging it and improvising, so I had no idea whether I was going to be negative, and I didn't realize that I was going to be this negative, but honestly, you know, looking over this video footage, I'd recommend just going to one of the other parks in Orlando. This place is just kind of a waste of time. It's basically a zoo, and that's really the only thing it's good at. And honestly, if you're in Orlando and you want to see animals at a theme park, SeaWorld's a better balanced park. They didn't used to be. They used to be exclusively a zoo as well. But SeaWorld spent the last 25 years investing in rides, and they actually have a pretty damn good ride lineup. A lot better than this park. And ever since they added that Sesame Street land, they're just as good for small kids as a Disney park now. As I head back towards the park exit now, I guess I should probably mention that this section of the park is where you're going to find the best gift shops. So if you're looking for an item to purchase for, you know, yourself or a family member or something like that, right here in Discovery Island, they've got these 2 large gift shops, like right in front of the Tree of Life. Speaking of the Tree of Life, one of the cool aspects that I will give credit about this park is there's a lot of kind of secret, secluded, nature trails that are in the Oasis, as well as Discovery Island, where you can kind of go on these little small meandering paths through the different animal exhibits. And I did already film those kind of little walking trails too and post them on the channel in the past, but it is one of the cool Easter eggs here at Animal Kingdom, so I do give them credit. I think that there were influences from Tom Sawyer's Island again, because Tom Sawyer Island has a couple hidden pathways, especially the one that goes underneath the fort, that a lot of people overlook, and Animal Kingdom's got those cool little hidden pathways as well. I always kind of chuckle a little when I see people waiting in line for the character meet and greets. I never quite understood the appeal. People wait in line for 90 minutes to 2 hours for somebody basically wearing a glorified Party City costume, but the $150 million ride will have no wait because it's all played out. Well, as I'm crossing back into the Oasis section of the park, I just wanted to thank you for joining me on today's walking tour. Didn't really anticipate being this hard on Animal Kingdom, but in hindsight, I realized that this is just not a very good park. And, you know, if you want to see favorable reviews, then I'd recommend watching the Magic Kingdom or the Epcot video instead, because I rave over those parks, but this particular one just isn't very good, and I do think it's probably the worst Disney park in the world now, since the Disney Studios park is getting quite the investment over in Europe. Thanks for joining me on this adventure. If you enjoyed this episode of The Adventure Schmuck, don't forget to like and subscribe.